Just gonna forewarn you now, you might need a shower in the ladies' bathwater after this exceedingly sweaty game. Courtesy of Rider of Rohan here, we've got Bretonnia versus Grand Cathay in an absolute matchup of human nations here. We've got two blessed field trebuchets already shelling away at this Cathay in defensive formation. Bunch of peasant mobs and men-at-arms spears up front. We've got some yeoman archers, which I'm slowly coming around to, actually. It's one of the nicer skirmish cavalries to have in the game. Certainly in this matchup can be quite useful. Yeah, make that 3 blessed field trebuchets protected by some spearmen at arms. Got a halberd as well, Royal Hippogriff Knights, and a prophetess of life. Yes, that's right. Rider Rohan risking it with the biscuit of one of the arguably worst caster lords in the game, generic caster lords in the game, although they do have access to 2 out of 3 really good lords. Lores. That's basically all they have going for them. And the Assault of Stone. We'll talk more about that after we talk about this Assault of Stones happening here. Well, it's actually, again, blessed bathwater. Raining down on these iron hails here. We've got Jade Halberds up front. Looks like Tang here, nerfed, but still good in this matchup. Shungan, Lord, and Gotrek. Gotrek definitely a very solid choice. Tough for Bretonnia to kill, potentially. His peasant long spears in the back, so makes a lot of sense. All anti-large, a little bit of AP shooting, and these crowmen as auxiliary support in the air. Cathay going to be forced to move immediately by this spread of trebuchets. And some nice yeoman archer skirmish cavalry micro happening here. You don't get to see super grade skirmish cavalry micro as much anymore from as many factions, but Rider of Rohan definitely doing some fancy dancing over there. Let's see if he can protect the field trebuchets with Royal Hippogriff Knights. It looks like one Onyx Crowman going to drop down and just immediately try and snipe one trebuchet. The other Crowman is not really capitalizing on this by pressuring out. I mean, the yeomen are kind of covering this one to a degree. They could pull back and shoot whatever comes near. Looks like it is maybe going to have to, yeah, it is going to actually use this opportunity a little bit later to go after the one here in the center. But again, Rider Rohan just mirroring wherever the crowmen go with the yeoman archers. That's going to be one of the best uses for them. They could even run in melee. See the Grail Knights even moving back in a position to try and protect here potentially, as the crowmen are definitely a pretty significant threat. It looks like might have mispositioned the Grail Guardians just slightly there, away from Trebuchet, but at least the pole arms are like right on station. Excellent timing there, honestly. Meanwhile, if we take a look, oh, the crowmen do drop there. And instantly able to rout the field trebuchet. Wow, but all the cavalry collapse probably means that the trebuchet crew will come back. We'll see, but let's look at the handiwork here. Yeah, a lot of dead Cathayan, especially these Iron Hail Gunners. But just due to the denseness of this formation and their kind of blocky deployment, all these units here probably taking some amount of damage. Yeah, you can see just generally a lot of value damage spread around here. Check the trebuchets, 30 kills, like 300 value there. That one less since they got attacked. Actually something similar. This one here, 46 kills, all about 350 value-ish. Pretty good stuff so far. Well on their way to paying for themselves. If they can continue firing like this throughout the course of the game, Cathay does move up, but Rider of Rohan definitely using the positioning of this sort of impassable terrain piece here to his advantage. Kind of helps give him some defense on this trebuchet specifically, and also forces Cathay into a little bit more of a narrow deployment. We do see the Assault of Stone getting popped there by the Prophetess of Life. Doesn't look like it did a ton of damage, but still, again, forces the Cathayan formation out of position right when they're getting ready to engage. You can see Rider Rohan advancing all of his forces up, all the infantry, cavalry getting ready to engage here. We do see, what is that, Stone Ground Stance? No, a Jade Shield on these peasant long spears as they attempt to fight the very nasty Hippogriff Knights. They're also going to get a little regrowth here as they take some damage in this engagement. But again, this is pulling all sorts of things out of position. We see yeoman archers collapsing, trying to get those Iron Hail Gunners, all the infantry. Bretonnia is moving in to start to tie things down and allow those trebuchets and other armor-piercing units to keep doing their work. Yeomen just kind of hanging around here, and they can actually do some decently cost-effective damage, like these peasant long spears, for example. No armor or shields, and they're anti-large. Definitely have to be dealt with, so a little bit of peppering damage from those yeomen certainly helps there. Unfortunately, the Prophetess did get caught in that engagement and just straight up killed by her much superior Cathayan counterpart. The Shooting Lord is just a way better character all the way around and has no problem dispatching the Lord there. So that's going to be a problem, potentially, for Bretonnia, right? No access to healing. Not to mention the leadership debuff from losing your Lord. We can see already starting to affect some units. Even these peasant mobs, which are not like they're really losing on the front line decisively. They're just going to straight route there. Although it does look like some AoE damage coming in and starting to help work through these units. The Grail Guardians taking quite a bit of damage, as have the Hippogriff Knights. With no access to healing, Rider Rohan's going to be very careful about where he deploys them and when to try and minimize the amount of damage that they're taking. But here, a little bit of overlobbing from the Cathayans as they chase even just peasant mobs. It'll be a beautiful area for the trebuchets to fire into. Unfortunately, he did not actually get that one trebuchet crew back, which is definitely something. That'll be some value lost. Grail Guardians also get away from this big scrum here and smash these peasants out in the open field. I mean, they're definitely used to smashing peasants, so long spears, short spears, men-at-arms, all of the above. They will smash them all, to be honest. And Hippogriff Knights also, again, taking relatively little damage here, so it can help focus with wherever the trebuchets are firing, try and do as much leadership damage as possible. See the Guardians coming through. Yeah. Ladies Champions landing there for a brutal charge. A few shots from the Yeoman. Again, just all this different leadership damage effects. Attacked by artillery, under missile fire. You see how those are two different modifiers. One representing, obviously, the trebuchets. The other representing the small arms, quote-unquote, of these Yeomen. Those two leadership effects stacking definitely helps to route these units off a little bit faster. Wherever the Hippogriffs land, of course, adding their terror to the mix. And they're able to get through some of these long spears, start to chase them off with the Yeoman, which is going to be extremely cost-effective. And tactically effective, to be honest, just effective in every single way. We do have a couple of reserve men-at-arms spears as well, who so far have just been kind of defending position here, making sure that anything that tries to come after these trebuchets will just get interrupted, but can be deployed in this late game to help the Hippogriffs have some stuff to hammer an anvil onto. Same thing with these Grail Guardians here in Lance formation, giving them some extra mass, but they're going to detach here as like peasant mobs and other units are brought in. See the Spearmen-at-Arms moving up for this final engagement. Hippogriffs, unfortunately, getting some wonky pathing on that charge there. We're able to still land and do some damage, but now trying to pull away. They got to be careful. Setang's bow is still online, and especially firing point blank, that massive anti-large bonus will do huge damage to the Hippogriff Knights. Got to be very careful about that. Also can fire point blank into the Grail Guardians as well. It does have a short minimum range there, nothing too crazy, but unfortunately for the Hippogriff Knights, they're not amazing at fighting single entities in a surround due to their kind of wonky pathing at times. You can see there, tried to charge down and feint out, but a couple of them do actually get caught there and take a little bit of damage in melee. Rail Guardians also take a significant amount of damage to those Jade Halberds, and especially to Gotrek fighting in melee. He's a force to be reckoned with here in this late game, and I'm not sure Rider Rohan has the resources to actually kill Gotrek here. He's a big reason why the balance of power is tilted so heavily against Rider Rohan at this point. All these different, single entities, two legendary heroes and a generic lord. Quite a bit to try and get through, especially when a lot of this stuff is starting to want to rout. Again, you still have these few men-at-arms here remaining. This other unit is not doing great on leaderships. They're probably not super reliable in this fight. Let's see how they can do. Trebuchets do still have some ammunition left and plenty of space with which to use it. Some of it's going to get hit, hit these trees, in the center patch. Has probably been losing some value on that the whole time, but enough making it through that it's still effective. And certainly this one with open space, only 3 models still left alive, but can definitely do damage. Nice AoE damage as well on those healthy men-at-arms spears. Definitely swing things. Quick terror out, though, gets rid of the Cathay, support units. Gotrek will get a few swings on the Grail Guardians during that, but then the Yeoman Archers can move in and do some chasing of the routing units, use up the last of their ammunition as well, firing at whatever, to be honest. Gotrek would be the most ideal target if they could get the accuracy to hit him, but they are not elves. They are just mounted men-at-arms, basically, with bows, so not going to be as accurate as, say, like Blade Riders or Lyrian Reavers, but yeah, they have some ammunition and get an open firing arc. Might still want to try and shoot Gotrek if they can. But let's fast forward as this late game single entity cycle charge situation develops. The trebuchet is actually firing directly at Cathay since he's the biggest target here. Makes a lot of sense. They actually do make some contact with him. Everything else is going to have leadership issues, but eventually the yeomen come back around. Yeah, you can see the Hippogriff Knights here. Again, just bunker busting and smashing whatever they can. Try and minimize damage to themselves. At this point, Catay's bow is really the biggest danger to them as they've been taking shots semi-consistently throughout this phase. But, yeah, at this point, basically whatever they can do to try and single out these units from each other, especially Gotrek. He's the biggest and the scariest at this point in melee. So, the more they can try and isolate the Shugengan or Cathay away from Gotrek, it's going to be beneficial. But moving in with some of these multi-model units here allows the Hippogriffs to cycle charge. Again, sort of talking about that positioning on a more micro level. Gotrek here being away, his Dragon-Blooded Shugengan gets surrounded by the Hippogriffs and the Grail Guardians. Takes a huge amount of damage there, can't heal through it, so is much more vulnerable. And of course, given Bretonnia's air superiority with the Hippogriff Knights, I mean, she could try and take her chances up in the air, but it's not a guarantee by any means. And, ooh, I thought she was going to fly through that the trebuchet shot there. Trebuchet's almost used up all of their ammunition, and almost 1,000 value there, over 1,000 value there. So, yeah, those two definitely paid for themselves, and then some, which is nice to see. But will it be enough? With the Dragon-Blooded Shugengan fast enough to keep away, Hippogriff Knights just decide to charge Cathay. Gets hit a couple more times by the trebuchets there. That final volley hits the tree. That one, a clean miss. But the Guardians also still a decent amount of HP left. Hippogriffs get into a little bit of a scrap, like 3 of them fighting the Shugengan. One fighting Cathay actually gets killed there. Another one still survives. Guardians charge in once more. And Gotrek this whole time is kind of just running in circles a little bit due to the speed of everything else. He's not consistently getting hits here, which is definitely working in Bretonnia's favor. He does get a few hits right there, kills a few more of the Grail Guardians, but the Shugengan getting routed is pretty huge. If the Hippogriff Knights can see her off, that it will be massive. Another shot from Cathay fells another of the Hippogriff Knights. They're down to only 2 unit models left. Cathay is facing his crumbling, construct crumbling, and not looking great on leadership, so let's see if the unbreakable Gotrek can perhaps hold. Catay's going to lose one more shot before he goes. It is actually enough to rout Hippogriff Knights, but will the Shugengan come back? It looks like these Yeoman Archers clutch, trying to chase the Shugengan off, just stay right below her so that her leadership doesn't recover. Looks like a few more trebuchet shots, I guess, from this specific unit out in the open. And yeah, Cathay down below 90 HP. He drops. Will fall there. And the men-at-arms here now in a surround on Gotrek. Looks like the Guardians were routed away. But let's see what else they can do. It's definitely going to be whether or not Gotrek can even be killed here by the Bretonnian build, which I'm not sure that he can, but let's fast forward and find out. Just looking around to see what's left, and it's really just like men-at-arms at this point with the very tattered Knights and Hippogriff Knights, Guardians, of course. Let's see. Yeah, even like a little charge in there, and they already rout, and the Hippogriff Knights rout, and oh, will it be just that Gotrek is too much of a Chad? I think it's honestly pretty likely here. Yep. Looks like Gotrek manages to clutch out a win there, so quite a back-and-forth game. Definitely a wild one for sure, and a wild choice to take the Prophetess and throwing her early. So I feel like the signature Rider of Rohan Lord throw, he would even admit to that. And yeah, despite that, was almost able to eke out a win there. If it wasn't for Gotrek, definitely would have carried it in the late game. But I actually do like the pick of Gotrek here for Cathay pretty significantly. He's just really hard for Bretonnia to kill. They really don't have a great answer directly for him, especially given their bows kind of lack the accuracy to shoot him. From a build perspective, I mean, execution-wise, I mean, not from a build perspective, but from how it was used, obviously the only thing is really to not throw the prophetess there, and then maybe the healing in the late game for the Guardians and Hippogriff Knights, if they have a bunch of extra HP left there at the end, can probably finish off Gotrek, given he had already taken a decent amount of damage. But yeah, credit to Giffy here from the Cathayan side. Yeah, very smartly constructed build, even though the deployment did punish him a little bit from his blockiness. Ends up eking out the win here, especially this single entity setup with these three kind of supporting each other. I like this quite a bit. All three getting really nice values. So hopefully you enjoyed that. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.